Got my comfy pants on and I'm ready to model. Hey everyone, and welcome to Groove Builders, the show where we create together. I'm your host, Disorderly Cone, and in this episode, we're going to be building the Ukrainian Dream Small Edition. Now, I know what you're thinking here. If this is the small edition at 32 parts, what does the normal edition look like? Whoa, models from the sky! This is the big guy at 232 pieces and over 20 hours to build. This guy has moving pieces as well and a ton of really cool parts that we're going to get into a lot later. But before we even attempt this, I think it's a good idea for us to check out the smaller one. Now, if you don't know about the smaller guy here, it's actually Metal Time's first entry into the smaller metal model category. And being that this is their first one, it's kind of the tester. It wasn't even actually just released as a model out there. You had to actually get the bigger Ukrainian Dream to get this guy here. But since they've actually put this guy out, there's been some other models released, and they've changed kind of how they designed it. So I want to see what their first stab into the whole smaller metal models was. How good will this model actually go together? What tools are we going to need? And will that front actually open up? These are all great questions. Let's get down to the workbench and take a look at our package. And just like that, we have all of our pieces needed to build the Ukrainian Dream Small Edition. Now for this particular build, we're not going to use a whole lot of tools, but we are going to use some, starting off with our nippers. These are great for helping us get all of our parts out of the metal, which you saw me do a little bit earlier. And with these ones right here, they're really nice because they have a point on them, which allows me to get right up to the part and cut them out. Great little piece of kit. Now the second thing I'm going to recommend is a good pair of tweezers. These are great for forming all of our pieces throughout this build, but you want to make sure these are strong, because if the metal is stronger than your tweezers, well, you're going to have a bad time. Now, the last thing I'm going to recommend is these little pliers here. Now, these are very unique because they're flat edge and they also have no grooves on the inside, which means that they can grab these pieces here without making any kind of marks. Super nice stuff. Okay, let's clear our pieces away here, or I should say our tools here. And let's begin with our first part, starting off with our engines. Now, one thing I've noticed with these instructions, there's actually no kind of 1, 2, 3, 4 in terms of steps. There are pages though, so it kind of lets you do what you think is best. In my opinion, I think it's best for us to start with those mounts and then hook them onto our engines and then to the wings. I think this is the best order to make sure everything goes on correctly. Let's grab our little mount here, and it looks like the big side here goes up top, and the key for these guys is making sure that you bend all of these as equally as possible. And how you do that is by going right to the edge of the metal and then bending your tab. Let's bring you guys down for a closer look. Isn't that better? Now we're just going to make sure all these guys are kind of flush, or again, to the best of our ability. Okay, now we can take our tweezers and we're going to use the side of them here. And we're going to bend this down like that. Go. And then we need to bend this guy flat. It actually might be best for me to grab, you know what? That's what we're going to do. We're going to grab it from this side here. And we're going to bend it like this. I took that off camera. I'm sorry. I will do it again in just a moment, because we got to do a couple of these. I didn't adjust for where my camera was previously. There we go. Okay, that is our first mount done. Let's do it again so I can show you exactly what I did there again. Okay, Grabbing our little piece here. Grabbing all of these tabs right at the edge. That's super important. Okay. Using the side of my tweezers again. Bringing it down. Now again, we're going to grab from this side here. And we're going to push up. There we go. Down. And down. There we go, our last one all complete. Now we can put this guy down here and begin working on our engines. Now, if you remember what I said before, I think it's super important for us to actually attach this on first and then form our engines. So I'm gonna go ahead and bend this first one down. And then it looks like it goes like this. Yeah, there's just little tiny etches in the back of the metal. I think I got that one. Now we can take one of our little mounts here. There we go. Now we're going to twist one to the right. We're going to twist the other one to the left. Just folding these pedals back here. And what we're trying to do is actually match the best we possibly can to the previous piece. Now I'm going to get all these in a nice little area here. I'm going to clean them up as well. But one other thing I do want to mention, you'll notice that I actually twisted the tab there in the beginning, and the instructions don't say to do that. The reason why I chose to do that was because it was easier. That's it. That's all. It's your model. You can do what you want at the end of the day, and I found that particular, that was just a lot easier for me to do. Now, I'm not necessarily going to follow that for every single case here, but it's just something to know. That was my choice. That's why I did it. And you can do it too if it's easier for you. This is a little bit tricky to hold on to, I'm not going to lie. I feel like I'm squishing the engine every time I try. I almost wish there was a little bit of a connection here on the back just to make everything a little easier. Now let's go ahead and finish up these other engines here following the same pattern. Again, we'll attach the mount first and then we'll actually shape our engine. Last little engine here, all done. Now again, we're going to tidy up the backs here in a few moments, but right now, let's go ahead and attach them onto our wing. Lining up our tabs here. There we go. Now we're going to bend these guys down. First engine on. Looking pretty good there. You'll notice that not all of these engines fit on the same way, and that's because some of them go onto the other wing. Keep that in mind when you're putting these pieces on. You want all your engines to be facing the right way. Doesn't that look pretty? Now let's do the same thing for the other side. There we go. Our second wing all complete. There we go. Doesn't that look nice? I think so. Now let's move on to page 2. And with page 2, we again don't get an idea of how we're supposed to kind of start, but I'm sure we can figure it out together. Let's go ahead and put these wings over here for right now and grab our main body, or try to. Now it looks like we have details that go on top as well as details that go on the bottom, and we also need to fold this guy into the proper shape. I think it's best with this particular kit that we attach the top pieces first and then shape everything. So we're gonna grab these little guys back here. And we are going to bend this down like so. And then we're gonna let this piece here follow around to the front. We're using multiple bends to get to that front. Okay? We're also kind of slightly bending or slightly slanting our tweezers just like this to be able to get that really nice shape there. All right, one side down. You can also see here in the center of our piece how there are some lines. These lines are indicators of where you're supposed to actually bend the part, and do make things a little bit easier if you follow them. Right? Go. Now the back here, you can see that we have multiple little lines, and that's because we need to make this rounded shape right there at the back. I'm going to try to get a nice one with just my flat tweezers here, but you can actually use the smaller detailed tweezers that I had out earlier to do this, and that might be a better idea. You could also use a shaping tool to help you with this. But right now, I want to try to build this without any kind of crazy special tools. All right, now we can attach this to our main body here. Both of these kind of go facing the back in terms of where the points are. Okay. Alright, now we're going to grab this guy right here, and we're just going to suggest them into place like that. And yes, now I'm following the instructions, folding them over. I mean, I try to follow the instructions right the first time. It's just sometimes old habits die hard, and twisting the tab in the situation of the engine seemed like the right thing to do. Okay, there we go. Now that we got this, let's go ahead and attach the back tail together, just because this is actually a really easy thing to do here. So what we're going to do is flip it over. You can see this little mark. Bend it down 90 degrees. Same thing with the other side. Down 90 degrees. And then what we're going to do is poke out these little tabs, just like we did before. Again, try to grab as much of the tab in your tweezers as possible. Super important. Boom. Boom. Now I'm going to assume you want the laser etching to be on the outside, because that looks cool. There you go. Flip it around. There we go. Awesome. That looks great. Now I'm going to put this down right here, and we get to work on the body. Now if we flip it over, we can see actually where we need to bend everything. And the longer pieces here can be a little bit hard to achieve the proper bend. My suggestion is to use your Bender 1.0 tool, or use the side of your tweezers, which I'll show you how to do right now. You want to line up the side just like this. Try to do your best to get as much of the actual piece of metal that you want to bend in there as possible. Like that. And we just start the bend. Now once we get this nice little bend here past this main piece, we can actually use the entirety of our tweezers here and just get a nice little bend right out of the entire piece, and you won't get any warping because again, we're kind of using this as a nice little break. Very good stuff. You just kind of have to start it, and that's the hard part. So again, doing this again, I go right to the edge there, and right about there. That should get me started. Now that back end back here is going to be a little bit rough right here, and I know that. But now we're past that threshold, so I can bring my tweezers right back up here again, and we can straighten that right out. There we go. See how straight that edge is? Great. I love it. Now we can go to the back. Same thing. We're going to actually fluff this out in a second here. I'm kind of questioning if we should do it now. But anyway, grab this little guy right here. Another little guy right here. And now we're left with this. Now for this back piece here, what we're going to do is kind of try to do this in a gradual bend, and I want to try to match it on both sides. It might be a little hard to do, but I'm going to try. Again, inserting my tweezers here, getting right to that line, and all I'm doing is just making a small little bend. Just enough so that it actually has a crease. Okay, there we go. Now, because we made all those little bends, now we can actually fold this down just like this, and if we need to, we can adjust any of our bends that we need to do. But right now, this actually looks pretty good. I think we're definitely going to need to bend things a little bit more, not much more though. I think that was actually a really good go. And we need to bend these little guys back here though. So we'll do that. Kind of bend them all in together. Again, I'm being very kind with this. I don't want to make any major mistakes at the moment. I'm just kind of giving it a little bit of love there, trying to suggest it to where I want to go, and then when we put all of our pieces in here, we can actually understand how much more bending needs to happen, which actually takes place with this little piece right here, going into the center and through the sides. So let's see if we can do that. I don't think it matters actually if it's the left or right, it just matters about up or down. So the two pieces here at the top, the two little teeth, this guy right here, those are going to go on the top. That's what the bottom looks like. It has three teeth. So two top, and we're going to go like this. Okay. You can come back later and untwist those and bend them down. Okay. Now we're just going to bring it down like that. Awesome. And these guys just fit right in. Honestly, the machining so far on this has been really good. All the pieces have gone in with very little struggle, and that's a really great thing, to be totally honest with you. I really enjoy that. Sometimes the models, you really got to fight for them, but again, like, they have a little bit of spacing here too, which you can kind of see, which is nice. But it still has a really good hold, and I think that's because we're bending all of our tabs as opposed to doing something a little bit extra with them. There we go. Okay, all of our pieces are kind of as uniform as possible here. Now, one thing I kind of forgot to do. Whoa, this back here though, what happened here? I don't really want to use this tool because I know a lot of you won't have it, but this is a fondant tool, and this is great for getting into places like this and kind of fixing some mistakes. So let's see if we can kind of do one of these. Now it kind of worked. Let's see if I can. I don't want to bend these out like that. So I want to try to get back in there again. And this time, maybe put a bigger one in there, like this, and put that like that. Yeah, there we go. Okay, now I do this, which makes it a little bit wider. Okay, not bad. We can fix it in a minute here when we go and attach the back, but for right now, that's not bad at all. Let's get the tail attached. And for that, we need to grab these little tabs in the back, bend them up. Okay. Actually, should use these guys here for that. There we go. Nice and straight. And then we attach the tail. Boom. Again, we're gonna fold these guys. 1, 2. Going on the inside, pushing it down. Really nice securement there. All right, looking pretty good. Now we can put this down here and move on to page 3, which has a whole bunch of really interesting steps on it. It's got 3.1, 3.2, all that kind of jazz. So we need to build the cockpit first. So let's go ahead and grab some of the pieces we need for that. This is the little back here. Isn't that interesting? I think it does. And what we need to do is kind of shape all of this. Now, I think this is our little nose piece here. So I'm going to do this, like this. Just going to give a little bend up, like that, and like that. How do these guys, okay, these guys do get bent in, so we're going to do that as well. Like that, like that. Bending these little details here on the sides actually tells me how much more I need to fold this up in order for it to be able to fit correctly and be shaped correctly. You can see the gaps are starting to get smaller and smaller between these two pieces here, and that's because I am slowly bending it up. And there's going to be a point where I can't bend the metal anymore, which is right about there, and that tells me that we're in the proper spot. Now that I got this, I can actually start working and bringing all the other parts into play. Working off that original detail, I can kind of know where to go. And I'll show you how useful that is for trying to get that shape here on the nose. Okay. Same thing here. Grab these guys from the top. Bend them slightly, bend them slightly. Same thing from this side. There we go. And now, I'm kind of doing this really even pull here. It's really kind of hard to articulate. It's something that's kind of come natural over time of making these models, but I'm doing a pulling and a pushing effect to get a really nice edge. And you can see it works extremely well, especially when we've worked off that detail like I said before, and we can make any small corrections that we need to make here now. And that right there looks really good though. I really like that. This side here needs a little, but overall, again, it looks great. So we're gonna do that like that. And now we have our cockpit. All right, everything looks lined up to me, at least for right now. We're definitely gonna have to do a little bit more, especially I think right here, we're gonna have to do a little bit of bending, but we'll see once we go to put everything together. So let's put that down for right now. Grab this little guy right here. Same thing I did before, we're gonna do the same thing here. Because I know a lot of you guys don't have actual bending tools to be able to do this. To get a really nice bend here with just your tweezers, you want to just take a little bit of metal at a time here and make a small little bend, and you're making a lot of little bends as you go, and this will help you get a nice little shape. Now again, you can also use something to help you round the front off if you have a tool at home, like a marker or something. All of these things are really helpful. I actually have a whole thing of mandrels here that kind of help me with this kind of stuff. So I can actually do this like that, and it creates a really nice shape for me, which is really nice. Okay, now that we got this, actually that was a very little change, if anything, so I'll show you the difference here. You take it, and you gotta press really hard onto the metal, okay? Like really hard onto it, and it will take the shape of the tool, which is really cool. All right, we're gonna grab that little detail that we just made, and we're gonna put a little door here on top. This will kind of let us know how much we need to bend this little guy. And it looks like actually we gotta bend it quite a bit still, but that's okay because we're experts. We can get this done together, right? We can make things work like we just did amazingly. You're so talented. Okay, there we go. Securing little pieces like this when they have that kind of detail in the front is always a little tricky. Don't worry if you accidentally, mess up the detail here on the front. You can always come back and work it out and make it look nice again. So don't worry if it gets a little bit bent up. It's okay. All right, excellent. Now I've got that little piece all done up. We can actually start attaching all of this to that little base station I was just talking about. First, let's attach our cockpit, and then we'll attach the other pieces. Okay. We actually have to bend these guys down a little bit more here, it looks like. Okay. Just like that. And now we attach these guys in here. And it looks like we are completely through. There we go. That looks great. All right, now we can secure all of these tabs here, which will give us some structural integrity on our front, and we can work out any little bits of detail that we might have missed there or may have gotten a little bit bent up as we were trying to get this all together. You can see that's a theme. We can always clean up our work after we put it together, which is a nice thing. So actually, this looks pretty solid. It's really only the bottom here that needs to be cleaned up just a little, but look at that. Honestly, a lot of that was a lot of guesswork, and we did a good job estimating all of our angles. At least I think we did. The front here, I could probably pop that out. But again, we're going to be playing with this a little bit more, so I'm happy with it right now. I'm pretty happy. Now we can attach that little guy that we made earlier. Do that real quickly here. Again, these guys get folded down. Look at that. That looks pretty cool. Okay, let's put this down for right now, and we're going to grab our main body. This guy is again a little bit tricky because we need to get a kind of cylindrical-ish shape. It's an interesting shape, to say the least, and it really doesn't have anything here to kind of help us guide how much we need to bend this. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm actually going to use a reference of these little pieces here. These little guys get inserted into 3 different positions throughout the body, and if I can use this as a reference, I think I can get a good understanding of how this is supposed to go. And it looks like it's actually pretty drastic right off the bat. So let's go ahead and start bending this like this. Trying to make sure I'm giving equal pressure to the front and to the back so I don't get any warping. But again, we're also trying to make sure that all of our metal is being bent as we do this. Very important. Otherwise, it will be whole bunch of really hard to hide lines, little creases that show up in your metal models, which is really the enemy. We have a war on creases. Okay, no creases, no creases. All right, now put this back in here. Okay, and now I'm going to secure. Can I secure these two pieces? Let us see. Actually, let's put these to the back, because to the rear of the plane. Now, before we secure the front here, it's important that we go ahead and place the cockpit in place. So let's go ahead and do that. Now again, it looks like we avoided any hot spots or creasing, which is nice. There's a little bit of a weird thing right here, but we'll fix that, looks like, in a second. I'm going to push this one forward because there's a little stand there, but the rest of these are going back with the others. I love the etching on this. It looks so good. It's very simple, very plain, and it reminds me early days Metal Earth. Really, it does. I have a couple of the models from the earlier times of Metal Earth still around here in their original packaging. And, you know, I gotta say, like, it really does look like early day Metal Earth, which, if that's an indicator for the future, I'm excited for it. Okay? And we can attach what's this? Did I forget something? I feel like I'm missing a piece, but I'm not entirely too sure where it was supposed to go. And now I'm looking that this is all bent down like this, which is fine. I can do that. But where does it go? I don't see. I mean, I see at the beginning of the book there where it's indicated, but I don't see exactly where it's supposed to be attached. So you know what we'll do? I am going to bend it, make it look pretty, of course, and then we will do our best to figure out exactly where it goes. So I don't see it. It may have gone in the nose here to help keep the nose nice and straight. That could have been it, but I don't see where that part goes, which is super interesting to me. Anyway, let's continue on. Now what we're going to do is we are going to add everything together. This is an extremely exciting part. So let's go ahead and grab our little back here. And it looks like everything's pretty straight. So it's just a matter of lining everything up. And so far, like I said, this model has been so easy to line up. Okay, so let's slide this in like this. Okay, there we go. And it looks like one tab there got bent down, so let's grab that tab. There we go. Now it's a matter of getting the other ones in line here, and it looks like they're actually pretty good to go. So again, let's bend these down. I think my one little tab there got bent out, so unfortunately I can't get that where I want it to go, but that's okay, because this little guy here is going to help me out, I think. We're going to find out exactly what happens with this at the back. Oh, it's our friend. It's our friend that we didn't know where it went. Oh. You, my dude. I got you. See, I knew you weren't useless. Oh, so happy. I don't know how I missed that when I was looking at the instructions, but somehow I did. The hardest part here is going to be getting all these to feed in. Oh, that's going to be annoying. Okay, what we'll do is this. We're not going to play games. We're going to grab, and we're going to take this guy. So had I known this was actually going to go here, I would have actually left all of this unbent until it was on, and then I would have bent everything. Just because it would have made life way easier. There we go. Awesome. That's it. That's great. That's awesome. Now let's put these little wings on here. And we, my friends, are almost done. There we go. Again, like, I'm really liking how easy this is going together. Like, I know it's an easy build. I'm not saying that. It's just the tabs, they just go together so well. Like, they want to go together. It's great. It's a great feeling to have that. All right, there we go. There's our Mriya aircraft. Doesn't that look awesome? I think it looks great. We only got a little bit of a stand here to make, which is super easy to do. All we're gonna do is just come right here in the middle. We're gonna bend this down like this. We're gonna come to the other side. Same thing, bending her down. And now we're gonna be like, what are you gonna do now? Well, we're gonna go into the inside here and we're gonna bend these out. Be very careful though. Remember, this metal is a little bit thinner than we're used to dealing with. And because of that, you're gonna have to use probably the pressing method again, kind of like going to college and pressing in from the inside. You can try to use like a little center push if you want, but it's always better just to do the old college maneuver here. There we go. And that works just fine. Now that got a little bit bent there, so we're gonna bring this back out and we're gonna straighten it out. Awesome. And now what we can do is take this little centerpiece here, and this acts as like a bit of a stabilizer, and it also has the Metal Time logo on it. We're gonna put it right here in the middle. There we go. I'm also racing against my battery and my phone as well, so it's always a little bit of a hectic moment. Here we go. Okay, we're in. We are in. And boom, there we have it, the Ukrainian Dream Small Edition in all of its glory. This build was a lot of fun to put together and also was pretty straightforward, being that it only had 32 parts. There were some issues though with the instructions, mostly to do with that little back cap there. I kind of pre-bent mine, not knowing where it went. I actually thought it was part of the front there at one point. But after finding out that it actually contained all that little back detail, things went together pretty easily. Outside of that one little instructions incident though, this entire build is incredibly well engineered and goes together almost by itself. Being that these holes are a little bit bigger, it allows for the pieces to kind of come together and you can make them tighter around the interior bits, allowing you to get a really nice shaping. Being that this went together so easily, I'm excited to see how the bigger one goes together, and also how some of the other smaller builds that they've had come out since go together as well. The details here are kind of simple, and they do remind me of some of the earlier Metal Earth builds out there, but the engineering on these ones, I have to say, are just so much better. I'm really excited to see where Metal Time is going with these kinds of builds, and I highly recommend these for new builders out there as well. One correction I did want to make is that earlier I said you could only get this if you bought the bigger Ukrainian Dream, which actually is true. You can get this for free if you buy the bigger Ukrainian Dream, but you can actually purchase this right now on their website for about $20 right now. And to be totally honest, I think that's completely worth it. This build looks great on any desk, and being that this build actually supports a great cause, I think that any builder will be glad to have this one in their collection. All right, Groovers, that brings us to the end of our show. I had a really good time building the Ukrainian Dream Small Edition with you, and if you guys had a good time, don't forget to press that like button. For more videos like this, hit subscribe as well, as we got all kinds of really cool content coming on in the future, and I would love to have you there, especially for that bigger Ukrainian Dream. Until next time, keep building. All right, buddy, let's see how well you can fly from here.